Sanatay's fate could have been foreseen from the time she was born. She never had a fighter's temperament. When she was little, she was easily dominated by her 5 brothers and sisters when they played, or when it was time to suckle at their mother's breast. Aside from napping and playing, days are spent searching the horizon, waiting for an adult to come back from hunting with some food. Sanatay is a member of the family known as the humpback family. Their territory, located north of Webb Valley, covers more than 15 square kilometers. Every morning, the 9 adults patrol the frontiers and mark them with their odor. Humpback, the 8-year-old male, is the undisputed head of the family. The cyst on his back grew there when he was 2. Next to Humpback comes Abira, the dominant female. She's the only female in the pack allowed to raise her litter. Things are not always what they seem. Despite their shrill howls, their fur like a fox's, and their resemblance to jackals, Abyssinian wolves are close cousins to European, Asian and American grey wolves. A few 100,000 years ago, some of the forefathers of the grey wolf dared to mix with the larger animals of Africa. As time went by, a new species emerged with its own specific behavior. No more hunting with the pack, no more big game. Just a few hours after sunrise, the pack scatters. They all go off alone for the day's hunting, which can last more than 10 hours. They'll be looking for the thousands of small rodents that live on the plateau. These provide a feast for the local birds of prey. Abira, the dominant female, has spotted a small rodent. As the steppe eagle seldom hunts, he's always ready to share someone else's meal. All he needs is a bit of patience. All of the adults in the pack regularly return to the den to feed the cubs. The first one back this morning is a young 2-year-old female. A small male with obvious ambitions of dominance immediately takes her prey. All the same, Sanatay tries her luck. The young adult is firmly solicited by another cub. She reacts immediately. She regurgitates her prey, which has been partially pre-digested, so that it's easier to chew. Sanatay and her brother are very fond of playing, so much so that they tend to forget their meal. But here, anyone who gets caught up in the chase risks losing their prey. It's 5 o'clock, time to meet up again. It's a ceremony in which every member takes his place according to rank, and the subservient ones huddle together. The adult males, which weigh roughly 15 kilos, are just barely heavier than the females. Though they are dominant in relation to the females, they do not assert their dominance very fiercely. In fact, hierarchy only really becomes an issue between males or between females. These daily rituals help avoid many a fight. Dogs don't usually let themselves be intimidated by Abyssinian wolves, but 9 against 1 is just too unfair. Fortunately, the cows here are not scared of wolves. The wolves' favorite dish is the mole rat. To catch one, the hunter steals up between the cow's legs, his presence unsuspected. But for now, he's on the warpath. It's 6 o'clock. Back at the den, the dominant cub shows off a giant mole rat that the humpback has caught. Nearby, Sanate is playing with one of her sisters. The young first begin learning about hunting with dead prey. Fighting for another's prey is one of the ways their place in the social hierarchy is established. Sanate is never any good at this game. Sometimes the family wakes up when the moon is high, but Abyssinian wolves usually sleep through the 12-hour tropical night. Spotted hyenas, asleep during the day, become scavengers by night. This time, mere warning calls have kept the enemy at bay, though sometimes even wolves have to flee. July, 8 months later. In one of the farms on the humpback's territory, a dog is getting ready to follow his master's herds. An irresistible smell is calling him away. It's mating time for the Abyssinian wolves. Abira, the dominant female, is on heat. The humpback has got priority over the other wolves, but with dogs, things are not quite so clear-cut. The male wolves instinctively consider them as their superiors and allow them to act as they please. Today, however, Abira is clearly unwilling. The dog spends 2 days romancing Abira and tries his luck again and again. Finally, the humpback takes advantage of a momentary lapse in his rival's attention. Like most members of the dog family, Abyssinian wolves stay together for about 10 minutes when they mate. It's a natural phenomenon necessary to ensure fertilization takes place. When the dog gets back, it's too late. Abira managed to avoid the invader this time, but this isn't always the case. Dogs often couple with female wolves, who then give birth to half-dog, half-wolf mongrels. This crossbreeding is increasing with the rise in the human population. It's one of the main reasons Abyssinian wolves are endangered. Two months later, Abira is ready to have her litter. On the high plateau of Ballet, the pups are born between October and December. The week before she gives birth, Abira spends her time choosing a den. It can be a burrow she has already used, another animal's den, or a new place she'll fix up especially for the purpose. In the last few days before she has her pups, Abira stops hunting. She spends her days near the den, scouring the horizon. She will depend almost entirely on her fellows for food for nearly 2 weeks. One September night, Habira has a litter of 6 pups. They won't take a step outside for 3 weeks. For the mother, time goes by slowly, between suckling her young and sunbathing, always waiting for food. Every adult in the pack is meant to help supply food for her, but the one who pays most attention is certainly the humpback. Darkini, the second-ranking male, also comes back to the den often. For the cubs to survive, their mother has to be well fed. After 3 weeks in the tiny, dark den, it's finally time to venture out into the open. Their first outings only last a few minutes a day, and their mother is always there to watch them. Everything is new to them. Moving around is good for helping them to learn to walk. They have to learn to use their senses, and indeed, they learn something new every day. But the main reason the cubs want to go outside is because they're hungry. Their mother seldom comes into the den now. The young feed only on milk until they're a month old. Social rank is established within the first few weeks of their lives and is unlikely to change afterwards, even when they've grown into adults. The adults return to the den every evening and sleep nearby. Sanate has just turned 1, and, as could be guessed from the time she was little, she comes right at the bottom of the social ladder as far as the females in the pack are concerned. Her sisters and elders are constantly harassing her, so Sanate prefers to spend her time with the males. Darkini is obviously willing to play a friendly game. The humpback, though usually amiable, is not in a playful mood. From October to February, the temperature at night often drops to below -10. If the weather is fair, which it often is, the sun quickly melts away the frost. The usual social status ritual is apparent in morning greetings too, and as usual, the dominant females humiliate Sanate. A year has passed. This afternoon, the pack has taken an hour to relax. Sanate is now 2 years old. Her position within the pack is becoming harder to bear. The dominant females are so aggressive that she often has to isolate herself. The rest period ends with the traditional social dominance ritual. This time, the pressure is too much. Sanate must leave the pack for good. Sanate now becomes what is known as a floating female. She spends both days and nights alone, and her chances to join the pack again and reproduce are extremely slim. But now it's time to hunt. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, the giant mole rats open up the many outlets in their burrows, which they block up every evening to protect themselves from the cold. "15 minutes later, hearing no more noises outside, mole rats, along with hares, are the biggest of the Abyssinian wolves' prey. One a day is plenty for an adult to survive on. When there's moonlight, Sanate spends her nights roaming. At that time of the night, the territorial wolves are asleep, and there is plenty of prey. Some rodents are especially active at night, but Abyssinian wolves are bad night hunters. Night after night, Sanate has to cope with her solitude. Sanate, the floating female, will spend 2 years roaming the Bale Mountains, from the top of Mount Tulu Demtu, at an altitude of over 4,200 meters, to the Gaisei Plains at less than 3,000 meters, through all of the territories in the huge Webb Valley and the Senitai Plateau. Nowhere to settle, no family to greet her, and tens of kilometers every day. Gaysay Plain is located at the northern tip of the Bale Mountains. Days are hot, and there are far fewer rodents than in the Webb Valley. Even so, a family of wolves has settled there. Sanate has wandered far. She has reached the high plateau of Sanitai. The climate here is particularly harsh. Some males, when they are alone, hunting during the day, can at times be approached, but never for more than a few hours. It is the dogs who are more likely to be attracted when she is on heat. Sanate isn't able to escape her solitary fate. One day in the southern reaches of the Webb Valley, Sanate tries to link up with a herd dog. But her tame cousins are an ungenerous bunch. They're only interested in female wolves when they're on heat. A year has passed. Sanate is still alone. One day, though, as she is crossing the territory of her childhood, Humpback's territory, her fortunes suddenly change. Some of the wolves recognize her and show that they have. She's given a very cool welcome, especially by the females, but at least Sanate isn't rejected. The humpback is dead, and Darkini, the former sub-dominant male, has taken his place. Though the females are often aggressive, Sanate stays there. The arrival of Abira, the dominant female, will be decisive. In fact, floating females do sometimes return to their childhood pack for a short while. Admittedly, their situation is not a comfortable one, but they probably prefer bad company to total solitude. Three months later, it's the season for giving birth, and Sanate has had her first litter. Amongst Abyssinian wolves, subservient females that are gestating give birth on the pack's territory, but choose a den at a distance from the dominant females. They usually abandon their own litter within a few days to help the dominant female raise her pups. Oddly enough, Sanate has made an exception to the rule. Her 5 pups are already 5 weeks old. Darkini, the dominant male, goes to visit Sanate regularly. But the laws of the animal kingdom are very seldom broken. One day, Abira moves into Sanate's den with her 2-month-old pups. Sanate makes no attempt to protect her young. Within a few hours after Abira's arrival, 3 of her babies have been killed in the back of the den. What will become of the 2 that survived? The 2 females' cubs get on well. It is extremely unusual amongst Abyssinian wolves for 2 litters of different ages to share the same den. Sanate's babies are soon considered as living toys, and are given a hard time. Sanité's pups are both exhausted from playing and are underfed, even though both mothers will feed all the pups without discrimination. But among the giants, it's no mean feat for the little ones to get to a teat. For Abira's cubs to be highly playful is only natural. At the age of 2 months old, they spend most of their waking moments pretending to fight. For Sanité's pups, though, the fights soon become torture. The adults, however, don't make a move. The 2 exhausted pups die less than a week later. Sanité won't stay for more than 6 months with her childhood pack. She's chased away again and roams alone once more. Her life could very well end there. She could die of exhaustion or be eaten by a hyena. But fate takes her in another direction. The white wolf is a mongrel born 2 years previously of a floating female wolf and a shepherd's dog in a tiny territory on the southern edge of the Bale Mountains. The brown wolf is his brother. They're the only ones of their litter who survived. Their mother died during the rabies epidemic that killed 1/4 of the Bale wolf population the previous year. What with crossbreeding with shepherd dogs, rabies epidemics, and a dwindling habitat, the Abyssinian wolves are by far the most endangered on Earth. There are now fewer than 500 of them still surviving on the high plateau of Ethiopia. And if no measures are taken to restrict wandering shepherd dogs, the species is likely to die out within 10 years' time, to be replaced by wolf dogs born of crossbreeding. Sanate, who has been subservient all her life, is now the one and only female in her new family, and in just a few hours' time has acquired the magical status of dominant female. 2 mongrel males for a tiny territory. But it doesn't matter. Sanate has now begun a new life.